Hello and welcome back. I am Mondef, of course, and I am back on the Utopia Feed the Beast server. We're playing the Ultimate Pack. And let's see, what have we done since last time? Not a whole ton. Mally and I did do some work on the magic tower here. We built a little Thaumcraft area. And I haven't actually done any Thaumcraft research yet, so Mally did all of the Thaumcraft part of this. Made all the warded jars for us, made the golems here, and the warded stone and all of that kind of stuff. I just did the layout and kind of built all the wood shelving area. So yeah, that should work. The way this should work is we got one golem for the cauldron, and we have two cauldrons sitting in the ground here. And each one of those two cauldrons will end up, the dirt will be replaced with alembics. And the alembics, when there's enough, the golem will collect from the alembic, put it into the glass water jars here. And then when you're crafting using this table, it will pull the aspect out of the alembic if it's available, or from the, from the glass water jars and from alembics if they're in the alembic as well. Otherwise you can throw things into the cauldrons and do your crafting. They'll always be boiling, so they're always ready for you to come up and craft. So that's the idea. So I have to do a bunch of research on there so I can actually make some of that stuff. I don't think we've done much else, really, since the last episode. So let's get into this thing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but this worked. We can see you got 10,000 of each of these, give or take, rough numbers. But the netherrack didn't. I came back a while later and the netherrack was empty. Turns out what I forgot to do, let me fly down in here real quickly. And get down, nope, not down there. This one? I think it's this bottom one here. I forgot to actually put a piece of netherrack here, so this was basically had nothing to compare against, so it was always staying on. So it was always exporting netherrack. So I came down here and I noticed that. So that's important, otherwise it'll drain your entire system of everything of the type that you want to keep a certain amount of. Actually, I meant to come down here. I just threw 10,000 out as kind of a rough number. I was just like, yeah, 10,000 sounds about right. After I actually thought about the numbers a little bit, I actually think that 8,000 makes more sense. So we're going to change these, all of these to be, instead of 10,000, we're going to set them to 8,000. So this is going to do a little bit more dumping, not a big deal. 8,000, there we go. So that should, see it's already full of stuff, the void system is running, so that should clear out slowly and get us down to 8,000 dirt and 8,000 cobble. And why 8,000? A good reason, really. You can see our drives are about full again. These are tight full. That one's actually got some space in it. These have got a little bit of space, but we have stuff dumping into the overflow chest, which means at some points while running the quarry, we actually filled the drives at least tight full. So we need to actually use these drives a little bit more intelligently. See, the dirt's almost down to 8,000. There we go. That one should stop. And then it should start with cobblestone. So what I'd like to do, I'm going to pull a drive out here. I have this ME chest, we've played with it before. This will show us what's in this drive. So you can see this is only using half of its available storage space. And it hasn't really used it in a very intelligent manner, like one wispy essence of this type and, one piece of brewing stand. None of this stuff we're really going to have much more of than this. So, like, books is probably the biggest thing that we might add to this drive, but it's not very intelligently utilized. So I'd like to go ahead and empty this drive out, and to do that I've made a new device. This is the ME-IO port. And I'm not really sure where to put it, so I just think I'm going to put it there for now. We might move it to somewhere else later, but I think for now this will do the work. What this allows you to do is take a drive and transfer data to the network. So I can take the drive, put it in here, and it will empty the drive into the network. So put it there, and we can see, whoop, emptied, and now the drive is empty. Awesome. And then it moves it to the output when it's done. when the work is done, when output is full. I don't know, maybe that might have something to do with like automating that, although I'm not sure what I would use that in an automated fashion. Like, I don't know why I would put a drive into it and then empty the drive into the network, and then I don't know. I guess if I had like a small MA network set up by a quarry or something, and then I was just filling a drive, and then when the drive was full, I was sending it out to I would like send it across dimension instead of sending every item. I don't know. And then take the drive and empty it, and then send the empty drive back. I don't know if I would ever do that. Alright, this is another thing. I built this a while ago because I thought it might be a solution to another problem, and it turned out I found an easier one. But the ME preformatter, what this allows me to do is take a drive, for example this 16K drive, and pre-format it so that only certain items can go in there. So, for example, I'm going to put dirt and cobblestone in here. So I should be able to just put one piece of dirt, and it doesn't take any more than one, and it's actually just a shadow item. So, or a ghost item, however you want to say that. So it doesn't really matter, if you only have one or a stack or whatever. And what this is supposed to do for me, and I haven't actually tested this or tried it out yet, it's supposed to enable all of the dirt and all of the cobblestone to go right onto this drive. And so we'll call this one dirt and cobble. And cobble if I can type. There we go. Dirt and cobble, format the drive, and now that is pre-formatted. And now it's also got a name, dirt and cobble, so that I can glance at the disk and see, oh, that's the dirt and cobble disk. So now if I use the IO drive again, because if I just put this in here, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to, it's waiting for dirt and cobble. But if I use the IO in the opposite direction, transfer data to the storage cell, then I should be able to fill this with all of the dirt and the cobble from the storage system. So you can see it's drained all of that out. Why is there only 2,000 items in there? There should be like 16,000 items in there. Huh. Huh. That's interesting. So I've got nearly 8,000 items, or 16,000 items in the drive, but it's only taking up 200 bytes. 2,000 bytes, I'm sorry. 2,200 bytes. Does it do a bit calculation? Hang on, let me put this on pause. I'm going to run some math real quick. Okay, so I did a lot of math, and I read the wiki in a very detailed way and did the math based on the wiki. And these drives do not work the way that I thought that they did. When you look at these, my first thought is, oh, how many bytes correlates to how many blocks? And just to me that made instant sense. So this is a 16K drive, which is 16,384 bytes, which means I could store 16,384 items on the drive. And they can only consist of 63 different types of items. That is not the case. What happens is, in fact, let's empty this drive out. Let's see if it'll show us a pre-formatted version, a pre-formatted storage data calculation. It does not. What's going on is that when a drive stores an item, for example, if I put one dirt in here, it is going to, there's a formatting cost, byte cost here, associated with storing that one item. So if I put a dirt in here, if I was right the other way, this should be, 1 byte, but in fact we'll see it's 129. What it is 128, which is the formatting cost of a 16K storage drive, and each drive has a different different formatting cost. So the 16K is 128. So by putting one item in here, I've made it 128. Now the next byte of storage, the 129th byte, is being consumed by the fact that I'm storing one piece of dirt. Now if I put a second piece of dirt in here, you might expect that to go to 130, but In fact, it doesn't, and it won't. Even here, 7 items in there, 129, and one more item in there, 129, and now I crossed the 8 barrier, and now 130. So each set of 8 items can all be stored into one byte, of course assuming that they're all the same type of item. So if I put one piece of cobblestone, I'm at 130. This will add 128 to it, which makes me at 258. And if I put this up to 8 pieces of cobblestone, it'll still be the 259. But if I add one more, let's go to 260. Or it should. Just take one. It shouldn't. That should have been right. This should have been right. 258. Oh, because I have one there. 258, 258. Let's see, this is 7, 258, and 8, 259. I wonder if that's because I have that one set there, or if I'm crossing the barrier. 258, yeah, okay. That makes sense, mathematically. So I had this one, and that becomes 259. And I had one more piece of cobble, and that becomes 250. Oh, so those, it doesn't care. That's what I just tested there. It doesn't care. It's storing them in units of 8. It's not storing these separately. So, I guess I got to talk about computers for a quick second here. Some of you guys are already going to know where I'm going with this, and other people this might not make instant sense. When a computer stores data, we often talk in bytes. But your computer actually stores information in bits, more specifically in nibbles, but whatever. One byte is 8 bits, and that's why, like, when you have internet speeds, you get internet speeds in bits. So if you buy like 8 megabit internet, you only get 1 megabyte down speed, and that's actually that's right. Internet service providers, at least in the United States, advertise bits because the number is larger than if they advertised bytes, right? So each one of these cobblestones is actually consuming 1 bit of the drive, and not 1 byte of the drive, which means I can store 8 times more the amount of items on this drive than I thought I could, which is great news for me right now, because I was thinking I was going to need, because I'm limiting right now cobble, dirt, netherrack, and actually, if you look at my storage unit, I actually need to start limiting sticks. But I thought I was going to have to use 1 drive for each of the 2 of the items, but it turns out that I could actually put more on this drive. So let's see if I can reformat the pre-formatter, which I assume I can do. I need to also go grab a piece of netherrack. So I hope that kind of made sense there, the bit to byte. Now the formatting cost associated with each one of those new item types, that doesn't matter. That stays the same, and it is calculated in bytes. And how many bytes that is dependent on what size the drive is. So, yeah, okay. I hope that makes sense. And we'll put netherrack on here as well. And we'll just call these the mass stuff. Right, it's because now that those aren't all going to fit onto one. So format, that allows me to reformat the drive, which is great. Now if I put this in the chest, this should be empty. And it is, of course. And we put this here, and we say, oh wait, we want to transfer stuff to the drive. So that should, yeah, it won't fill it. But that should have put everything on there. Cobble, dirt, and sticks. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this drive formatted this way. Oh, you know what else we should put on there? Ooh, 14 iridium ingots. We're going to have fun with those. Whoops, I gave you wood. We're also going to put marble on this drive, because we do have a whole ton of marble. Alright, so let me go ahead and get this done here, and consider whether or not I need to put any more items on this drive, because as it turns out, instead of 2 I can put 8 different items on here without having to worry about the storage space. And I'll still we'll have to run the math. 128 2D, not quite, can't quite get 8 different items on here, so we'll go with 7. 5. Oh yeah, we should format. We should click the format button. This is empty, right? Format. And fill the drive. So I'm going to have to give some thought, now that I can store way more stuff on each one of these drives than I thought. It may very well change how much of these different items I choose to store, and kind of work from there, because that means I might want to store more cobblestone, more dirt, or more netherrack, or marble, or something for this mass stuff disk. So yeah, I'm going to put that one first in the drive set so I can glance and see. Now it's type full because it's a formatted disk, and that's expected, right? Because we tell it exactly what types can go on there, so it can't take any additional types. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty good, pretty good. Alright. That was interesting for me to learn about, and my brain is a little bit explodey from doing math. So I'm going to take a quick break here, and knowing that we have the iridium, I'm going to have to count out iridium sets. We might have some fun with some iridium today, but we'll see. I'll have to do the math, see if we have enough yet. So I'll be right back. Alright, we do have enough iridium to have some fun, but I think I'm going to save that for the beginning part of next episode, because we need an implosion compressor. I forgot to mention for you guys, I did install one of these plasma, what it was the thing called, plasma cannon. There we go, plasma cannon, which is why I'm no longer carrying around a ranged weapon, because I have access to this thing now, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, I made a kind of important realization on this thing, and the realization is twofold. The first is that apparently those item IOs for the Zycraft tanks are buggy. They cause client crashes when they unload, or something like that. This tank was causing us to crash when we went into the Nether, and by deactivating this tank and removing the item IOs from the world, we stopped crashing. So I can't use this method. Actually, as many of you guys pointed out, I totally forgot about, go away, purple hole. I totally forgot about this Zycraft water block when I built this tank and I used an aqueous accumulator. I thought that might have been the problem, is the aqueous accumulator with the Zycraft tank. Turns out it wasn't. It was the item IO blocks. So I can't use this method for filling buckets, which is fine. So that's the first important realization I made, is that not so much on the working side of things. So the other important realization I made is that why am I dealing with complicated methods to pull items in and out of pipes and whatever else? I have an entire advanced molecular storage unit over there. So why not make use of it, right? I'm already having to run the wire up here to export into the system anyway. I might as well make full use of this system here. So what I'm still going to import in the same way. I'm still going to use the export bus. I say import into the grinder using the export bus. Once it's done, we're going to import the resultant items, which will be dirty iron, whatever it's called thing. So that'll import into the items, and this will always be active, and it only needs to move single items at a time. That's fine, right? So that'll import back into the system, go into the storage system, and then from there we will export into the grinder, and then import the sludge, the empty bucket, and the clean iron chunks, or ore chunks, whatever they happen to be, back into the system. Done. Right? See how much easier this is already? Yeah, we're getting we're doing good work. Now, we still need to figure out a way to automatically fill buckets, but that doesn't have to be right here, cluttering this whole area. And what that allows me to do now is come to the slag, grab the slag furnace, bring this over here, and we can export into the slag furnace and import the result. And I guess I should have grabbed this while I was over here. The crystallizer. The crystallizer I think we're going to have to do differently, and there are actually other recipes that you need the crystallizer to do for you anyway, so I'm going to set it aside. But I'm going to make sure that it is equal distant. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, that's not. I want it to be the same. There we go. It needs to go back 1. Right there. There we go. I want it to be on the same angle so it's even from the wall. So we're going to have to set up the crystallizer some other time. But I do want to test and make sure I can get this part of it working. I might actually need another export bus here to run it because this runs on fuel. Because I don't think if I put coal in the top here, I think it's going to put it in the top. So let me grab, actually I think I have all of this still sitting in the chest from the last time we played with this. And somebody asked about sludge. Sludge, the only use for sludge, if it'll load, here we go, is to turn it into clay. And you can use the minimum stone, but you can just really stick it in a regular any kind of furnace that you like. And it'll turn it into clay. That'll be useful for us, not immediately, but it will become useful for us at a later date. Specifically, I had a great idea related to the Thaumcraft area, using clay. So, alright, so we're going to go ahead and we are going to, you know, I really don't want this, I only want it like turning on for just a moment at a time. So I'm going to do a temporary super ghetto vanilla style old school redstone. I think this should work. Alright, so that should be active without signal. So as long as these all match, it doesn't matter which way it goes. So those should all have signal, which means they shouldn't be active. Now if I tell it to export iron ore, it shouldn't run. If I turn this on for a second, it should. There it goes. That's plenty. So now that should grinderize after the spin up here. Come on, start grinding. No grinding. Why you no grind? Are we out of power down here? Are we out of power? Why are we out of power? There's no power in the battery box. Why is there no power in the battery box? No link out the factorization side of things. Why you not create link? Battery box. Battery block is not working. My battery block is broken, apparently. That should work. That was working like this before. I didn't change anything down here. That's, okay. What if we took a different battery block? This one. This one's basically fully charged, right? So what if we took out this empty battery block and this nearly fully powered battery block? Whoops. Get rid of you. Ah! I did it again! Twice in a row. It's draining, which isn't good. So this is not finding an outlink to that device. So maybe if I remove this and replace it. Maybe the tank or something was... Maybe the water tank was interacting with this multi-block structure, and having them both sit next to each other was causing an issue. Maybe that's something. I should test the I/O water system separate, somewhere isolated. Alright, so the grinder's running, right, and we can see that that is getting instantly imported back into the system, so we should have some dirty iron gravel. Perfect. I just need one piece to program this. Export dirty iron gravel into here. What? Export dirty iron gravel. Do it. Please. Active. Oh, because it's right. Because it's being held off by the wire. Dirt. I need to isolate these levers instead of having them all run together. So we're gonna do and turn them all on, and then get rid of you, and then get rid of all of that. There we go. And then we can turn that one off. There it goes, filling up with all the dirty iron gravel in the storage system. This should be empty since it's being held off right now. So we need to deal with the water bucket still, but that should take all of that and clear it out. Awesome, right? Okay. Which now we should be able to put clean iron chunks up here. And if we turn that on, should fill that up with clean iron chunks. Great. Now I'm interested to see what would happen if we put coal up here. Eventually, coal is of course not renewable, it comes from mining. As long as we're running quarries, that's not a big deal. If we get to the point where we're not running quarries anymore, I'll need to change this to charcoal. But we'll get there if we get there. I want to see what happens if I do this. I want to see if it's going to try to put the coal here, or if it's going to be a little bit more intelligent about that and try to put it at the bottom. And it looks like it's trying to put it on the top. We can verify that by pulling this out. There it goes. Okay. So it is trying to put that in the top, which is exactly what we want to not happen. So let's go and put that guy back there. I said that might happen. I kind of expected that was the case. Give me you. I kind of expected that was going to be exactly what was going to happen, which just means we need another export bus that goes on the side here. Or does it need to go on the bottom? Probably needs to go on the bottom. So let's go ahead and put this on the bottom, because the sides are usually outputs. Besides, the bottom looks better. So if the bottom works, that actually makes me happier than putting it on the side. So we should do that. That should keep the slag furnace full of coal. There it goes, filling it with coal. Perfect. Now we should get, I don't even remember what this stage is called. Here it is. Reduced iron chunks. Oh, yeah, we saw it there flicker for a second, so we should be getting reduced iron chunks into the sorter. Just search for chunk. Reduced iron chunks, 5 of those. Awesome. So that's good. Now, running this whole ME network like this makes me really wonder, instead of using the master storage system, because I really don't need clean iron chunks being stored in the master storage system up here, it makes me wonder if I should set up another minor ME network and basically export all the ores from the master network into a minor network that'll sit down here, which will take the ores and process them and then send ingots back to the master network. I don't know if that's really worth it, but what that would allow me to do is shut off this part of the network automatically. Well, you know what? I probably could do that anyway. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. We're just going to leave it. Alright, so that all works. So the next portion, let me show you what we got to do for these things, which we're not going to get to today, because we still have to figure out the water bucket scenario. We could smelt it, of course, but we have to crystallize this. So we have to put the reduced iron chunks into these areas here, and then add in, it doesn't show, there it is, sulfuric acid. And then we have to run the crystallizer with heat for a little while so that the heat fills up. And then when it does, we could keep running the heater, which is this block over here. We could keep running the furnace heater. That's not a problem, but we don't need to, and we'd be wasting power. So we're going to have to decide whether we want to waste power, which we could do because that would greatly simplify it, or whether we want it to be more efficient. Either way, we do need that sulfuric acid. which means we have to make an automatic way to create this stuff, which can be created with gunpowder and coal or with sulfur and coal. Coal, of course, being here. Sulfur is mineable. Gunpowder is renewable. Coal can be renewable as well, but we don't have that as a renewable source yet. The renewable source comes from wither skeleton farms. So, you know, maybe I'm just going to use the quarry coal. How much coal do we have in here right now? Quarry coal until we have that renewable. I mean, that's plenty for now. But yeah, so we're going to have to make a decision as to what the best way is to manage this. So I'm not going to worry about the crystallizer for now. I can run it manually if I need it to process. But we do need to figure out the water. So this episode, I know it's been a little bit funny with the whole drive thing. I was hoping to get the whole water bucket situation figured out today, but let me check on the time on this episode and see if I have time to work on that or if we're going to have to save that for next time. So give me 1 sec, I'll be right back. Alright, I checked the time, but it's going to make us go over, but I think it's worth doing. I do try to keep these episodes about 30 minutes. You guys don't seem to give me guff if I go over that, though, so I really do want to get this done. I'm much more project-oriented than I am kind of based on the time. I think it's better if we get a whole project finished, or at least a portion of a project that kind of relates to itself finished, than if we, you know, stick to a certain specific amount of time. I don't know. You guys might disagree with me, but that's my take on the situation. Alright. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's go ahead and just thinking about wiring. I'm still going to use this tank. I had two thoughts while I was off camera. The first one I had on camera, right, is maybe it was connecting to that multi-block, because this is a multi-block structure, and then it's connected directly to power, and then the tank was sitting right here. And the other thought I had, which I realized off camera, was the fact that this line right here is a chunk boundary. Let me show you. There is it. There you can see the little green bars there. These are the chunk boundaries. You get this by hitting F9 twice. Hit it once and the menu comes up, hit it again and it goes away, and you're left with these green little lines here. And this is the chunk boundary, and the tank was actually extending into that block, which means that the tank was branching these two chunks. This one is chunk loaded by a spot loader here. This one on the outside is not chunk loaded. Which, now that I'm looking at that, I should make sure this whole machine sits inside the chunk loader. It does. Okay, so that's good. So I actually might have been able to fix that by putting a spot loader on that other side and loading that chunk over there, but if I don't have to, I'd rather not load another chunk. And besides, as I was thinking about it, I was like, you know, there are other recipes where you need water buckets. So I'd like my ME network to keep itself filled with, not a bunch, but a few buckets of water. So let's go ahead and initialize this tank. Come on. Initialize, please. Please. I say it so nicely. What did I mess up? What did I mess up? Where are you, mistake? Oh, there's a hole underneath that block. Which means we have to go up one more if we want to use that spot. Yep. So we're going to go up here, like this. We're going to use that corner, this corner, and then we're going to go up to there, like this. I'm not going to bother making any, like, glass viewer or anything like that for this tank because, honestly, this is a functionality tank. You should never be down here looking at it anyway. So, yeah. The assumption with a water tank is that it's always full, as it is. So, where'd those item IOs go? Where did you go, item IO stuff? Did you go up there? Are they, like, hidden items? There we go. Hate that bug. Now initialize tank. Haha! Tank initialized. Actually, as long as we've got the tank sticking up this far, I might as well stick the valve back here. And I'm going to use the Zycordite water, because I figured I might as well. It is smaller than the aqueous accumulator. Got a full tank, 32 buckets worth. Filling with water, great. If we ever find ourselves in a situation where we're pulling too much water out of this, you can always add a second or 24th valve, whatever you want to do, and add another block of Zycordite water. And, yeah, so I could add another valve there and add another block of water, but I don't think we're going to run into that problem. Mondef, do you need the colon? I don't. I have a colon. I think I'm good. Matrix programmer. I have one. Okay. You only ever need one of those, so no big deal. We're going to use this one as in, which I believe you have to shift right click with an empty hand. In, so that would be the export bus, exporting from the ME network, which will go into the multi-tank, and then we are going to set this to orange, which will be the output of the multi-tank into an import bus to the ME network. And I only want it to export, actually I only want it to import, yeah. It can pump as many buckets as it wants into the tank for it to wait, but I only want it to take buckets out when there aren't, what should we say, like 4 or so? Oh, that was backwards. Water buckets in the network. So we're going to connect that, and then we're going to connect up. But I want to configure this before it just starts running like crazy here. So let's say 4. Let's say I want 4 water buckets in the network. And this will need to look at water buckets, which means I need a water bucket. I think I have one I can use here. There's a water bucket. Here's an empty bucket. We'll use these up. So when there are 4 water buckets, emit level when levels are above the limit. So if there's more, turn on. If there's a redstone signal, only active without signal. Active once per pulse, always active. Active without signal. So until this indicator, once this indicator goes on, which will be when there is more than 4 water buckets in the network, actually if we want 4 then we better do 3, then this will be active when there's no signal, meaning that it needs water buckets. This will be importing water buckets. This will be exporting empty buckets. This will always be active, so it will try to keep the tank always full of water buckets ready to be imported into the network when this light turns on. That should work. Let's go ahead and see if there are any water buckets currently in the network. Buckets. There are 8 buckets. We should put more buckets in the network. Let's go over here. I don't use this one on camera very much, but this is a great way to craft stuff because it works like a project table, but you can access you can access the full storage solution up here. So I can also come up here. I'm about to pull 16 buckets out of the network, so I'm going to leave those 8 in there by putting 16 empty buckets in. And there are no water buckets in the network, so when we connect this, it should start pumping buckets into the water, filling them up, pumping them into the network until there are 4 water buckets in the network. And so it says it's filling the multi-tank with buckets, that's for certain. It's hard to see whether those are getting filled with water or not. Let's see, water. 3 water buckets. So it only gave us 3, huh? Didn't give us 4? I mean, that's fine. 3's probably good. But, so it's pretty quick. So it's equal to 3. So that's good to know. So it's not what the tooltip says. This says when levels are above the limit. It should say when levels are or are above the limit. When they're equal to or above or greater than the limit. So if I want 4, all I have to do is that. Now I should have, you can see that pulsed there, and we should now have 4 water buckets. We actually ended up with an extra one. Okay, so it's not a perfect digital timer or whatever. I could set it to like form a pulsar or something like that, but I don't think that's worth it. Okay, it's okay if there are 6 water buckets, not a big deal. Now this guy needs water buckets. Now this could be a bit of a problem because I only want 1 water bucket in here at a time. I have a feeling that if I put water bucket in here, it's going to fill all 3 of these spaces with water buckets. Let's go ahead and try that. We're going to need to flip this lever so it runs. And there it goes. Yeah, so you can see it did it. If we pull this out, then it'll end up... And this is what I'm afraid of, is that it'll end up with being just full of water buckets and jamming. So, we're going to flip that off. We probably have tons of water buckets in this storage system now. My solution to this one is going to be a router, I think. We can just plop this over here. Because what I can do with this router, using a machine filter, is I can tell it only work with the mixer and only insert into slot 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Sorry, I said 4, meant 3. This will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Right, so only insert into slot 3, so when it goes into the router, it will go into this slot, which will let it empty, and then it'll cycle through the network. So I can get rid of all my extra water buckets from the test there. Lots of water buckets, so it shouldn't be making any more. Insert to slot 3. So now all I need is one more of these export buses, which I have an import bus, which is too bad. Can I uncraft these things? I can. Fantastic. The difference between this, the import and the export bus is that one piece of slime ball in the recipe. That's the storage one. Let's see, I need the, the export bus. So we've got, let's see, we just need the piston. I'm going to go ahead and throw these other ones in here because I might need them for another one later. Alright, so we can probably do this from under the ground. Keep the wire hidden. Nope, we cannot. We can, but we'd have to go in from right where we can't see. Well, the wire is actually holding on there. So let's just go ahead and tack it onto the back right here. This will require no more wire anyway, so that'd be better. We're going to export water buckets into here. So I need a water bucket back. Shouldn't have put them all away. Export water buckets all the time. Don't care about the redstone signal. Move single items. This will just sit here and wait. Now what we should see is that when this mixer is done, the bucket will get sent over. It'll get refilled from the router. There you can see, saw the router flash here. I'll let it run again so you can watch. You can see the router will flash right here as it transfers the bucket into the network, or into the mixer. I didn't even get to see it run. But yes, that's what it's doing. It's working. We should see the water buckets here getting down to about 3 to 4. I guess 4 or 5 or 6 or so. So that should work. Look at this. Look at this automation system. This is amazing. Love this. That's so much better than where we were going before. And I'm not going to let this run full-time quite yet because I'm not really ready for... I'm going to let these all get cleaned up. I'm not ready to crystallize yet, so I don't want this to run full-time. After running the quarry, look how much ores we have. Yikes. 800 iron ores. We actually had 1,000. We processed a whole bunch of it because we were running out of ingots. So, but this is a much better progress. So, that's good to go. Total re-envisioning of that processing system. I think it's moving forward nicely. We'll do the crystallizer soon. We'll do play with iridium soon. And but that'll have to wait for next time because I'm out of time for today. If you like this episode, let me know. Either with a comment, which I love to read, or with the like button, which helps my channel out a lot. Either way, it would make me very happy. Thanks for watching. I'm Mondef. I'll see you next time.